Happy second day of Christmas, everyone. Two noteworthy things are observed this day. First, today is Boxing Day. And in a more ancient and sacred context, today is the day the Church remembers Saint Stephen. I find it both interesting and auspicious that the Church uses this very first day after Christmas, a day of great celebration and joy, to recognize Christianity's first martyr, Saint Stephen. Stephen's story can be found in chapters 6 and 7 of the book of Acts. In the first few years after Jesus' ascension, the church grew very quickly, and the apostles found it increasingly challenging to focus on what they believed was their role in the community, namely prayer and the sharing of the gospel message. They needed help. They needed help responding to the pastoral needs of the people and to the ongoing work of compassionate care to the hungry, the lonely, the needy. They suggested that the people select from amongst themselves 7 wise, spirit-filled people of good rapport to do this work. Thus, the order of deacons was created, and the first among these was Stephen. We are told he was full of grace and power, and that he did great works and wonders and signs among the people. Eventually, there were those in wider society, non-Christians, who had become embarrassed by their own inability to successfully counter Stephen's effective advocacy for the Christian perspective. They were angry with him for making them feel that way, and they hated him for it. So they spread lies about him behind his back, hoping to ruin his reputation. Ultimately, they resorted to filing false charges against him. When he was brought to answer these charges, his response was so thorough and strong, including pointing out how the establishment itself had a track record of claiming holiness while simultaneously disregarding God's message. That regardless of the lack of evidence behind the accusations, the authorities, shouting, rushed Stephen, dragged him outside the city, and stoned him to death. On this day, immediately following the annual remembrance of the birth of God's anointed one, we remember the first person who was martyred for following him and promoting his message. What might this be trying to teach us? This leads me to the more recent celebrations done this day. For centuries, churches throughout England and other places would have alms boxes for members and visitors to churches to contribute money for charitable purposes. Such would normally be found in the narthex near the main doors of the church. On December 26th each year, in honor of St. Stephen's example and ministry, the clergy of the parish would distribute the collected alms to the poor and needy. We at St. John's, Duxbury had such a box for many decades. At some point, it fell into disuse and was removed. Thanks to the wisdom of some, we still have it, the original parish alms box. I hope to have it refurbished and restored to its rightful place. Even if unused in our cashless society, it is a strong symbol of where our focus ought to be as we enter God's holy space and when we exit therefrom to do God's holy work. So at least by the 1820s in England, at the very same time that our church building was being built, the day after Christmas began to become known as Boxing Day. This has nothing to do with either the 9th Marquess of Queensberry or boxing. It has to do with charity. In large estates with many people in service, all of whom who would be expected to work on major holidays, December 26th was their day off for Christmas celebrations of their own, and on this day, the family of the estate would give the household employees Christmas boxes. filled with gifts, money, and food. In essence, these boxes were like year-end bonuses. So whether it is the church distributing alms to the poor or the rich boxing up gifts for the less fortunate, St. Stephen's Day, Boxing Day, reminds us that the first and best message of Christmas is found in paying attention to the needs of others and in giving generously. A very happy second day of Christmas to us all.